The Krillian High Command celebrated in their obsidian towers, their chittering voices echoing through halls adorned with the spoils of 100 conquered worlds. They had done it. After 3 brutal years, humanity had fallen silent. Earth's transmissions had ceased. Its fleet scattered to the stellar winds, and the last defense stations orbited their homeworld like tombstones, dark and lifeless. Commander Zarthek raised his ceremonial blade, its edge stained with the essence of defeated species. "The humans are broken," he declared to thunderous approval. "Their spirit, like their ships, lies in ruins." They had studied humanity extensively before the invasion. A young species barely 2 centuries into interstellar travel, quarrelsome among themselves, divided by trivial differences. The Krillian war doctrine was simple. Strike hard, break their will, and they would submit like all the others. 67 species had knelt before Krillian might. Humanity would be the 68th. The initial assault had been devastating. Krillian dreadnoughts emerged from quantum tunnels above Earth's major cities, raining plasma fire that turned sprawling metropolises into glass. Mumbai, Shanghai, São Paulo, Lagos, all burned in the first hour. The human fleet, caught off guard and outmatched, fought with desperate ferocity but crumbled before superior technology. Within 6 months, Earth was blockaded. Within a year, its orbital infrastructure lay shattered. The colonies pleaded for terms. The military fractured. And then, as Zarthek had predicted, the transmission stopped. Silence. The ultimate sign of defeat. But Zarthek had made a fundamental error. He had confused silence with surrender. He had mistaken patience for paralysis. And most catastrophically, he had never asked himself what humans did in the dark, when no one was watching. The answer came 18 months later. It started with the outer colonies, small Krillian outposts that went dark without warning. No distress calls, no signs of struggle, just silence. Zarthek dismissed them as equipment failures. The Krillian Empire spanned 12 systems. Losing contact with a mining station or 2 meant nothing. Then it was supply convoys. Ships traveling through supposedly secure space simply vanished. Entire battle groups dispatched to investigate never returned. The silence that had once signaled human defeat now became a shroud concealing something far more ominous. When the reports finally reached the High Command, they were fragmentary and terrifying. Ships destroyed from impossible angles. Weapons that appeared from nowhere and struck with surgical precision. Technology that shouldn't exist. And survivors, the few who made it back, spoke in trembling voices of something they could barely comprehend. "They're everywhere," one ship captain whispered before being executed for cowardice. "In the asteroids, in the nebulae, in the void itself. They've been waiting, watching, building." Humanity hadn't been defeated. They had been learning. While the Krillians celebrated, humanity had scattered to the dark corners of their solar system and beyond. They had taken their shattered fleets, their surviving scientists, their rage and grief, and they had done what humans do best. They had adapted. Earth's quantum research labs, thought destroyed, had actually been evacuated to Europa's subsurface oceans. There, in icy darkness, human engineers had reverse-engineered Krillian quantum tunneling, then improved it. Their new drives didn't just create tunnels. They created ghosts, ships that could exist in quantum superposition, appearing to sensors in multiple places simultaneously. Mars's weapons foundries, supposedly bombed into oblivion, had moved underground to Olympus Mons. In the red planet's depths, humanity crafted something new. Relativistic kinetic missiles wrapped in quantum shielding, invisible until impact, traveling at 98% light speed. They called them rods from God, and each one carried the explosive force of a small star. But technology wasn't humanity's only weapon. Their true strength lay in something the Krillians had dismissed as weakness, their emotional capacity. Every burned city, every massacred colony, every child that died in the initial bombardment became a name, a face, a memory carved into human consciousness. The Krillians had given humanity something it had never possessed in its divided history: absolute unity of purpose. The counteroffensive, when it came, was unlike anything the Krillian Empire had faced in 10,000 years of conquest. Human ships emerged from quantum space directly inside Krillian defensive perimeters. Not dozens, thousands, each one a ghost that sensors couldn't track. They struck with methodical precision, targeting not just military assets but the very infrastructure that made the Krillian war machine function: shipyards, Command centers, supply depots, breeding worlds. Zarthek watched in horror from his flagship as his empire began to crumble. His fleet scattered, his communications networks collapsed, his invincible armada revealed as paper tigers before humanity's fury. He sent desperate messages to the High Command, begging for reinforcements, for orders, for anything. The response came not from his superiors but from Earth. It was a simple text transmission, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect Krillian script. You wanted to see us broken. Now see us remade. This is what Retribution means. The battle for Krillia Prime lasted 4 hours. Human ships surrounded the throne world like vengeful angels, their weapons painting geometric patterns of destruction across orbital defenses that had stood for millennia. When Zarthek's flagship tried to flee, it found quantum tunnels sealed, escape routes blocked. They had planned for everything. But in the end, humanity didn't glass Krillia Prime. They didn't exterminate the species. Instead, they landed troops in the capital, marched through those obsidian towers, and dismantled the High Command piece by piece. They freed the enslaved species. They destroyed the weapons. They left the Krillians alive, diminished, humbled, and forever haunted by the realization that they had awakened something terrible. As Human Admiral Chen stood in Zarthek's captured throne room, she thought of Mumbai, of her family lost in the first bombardment. She thought of the billions who died, and she thought of the single word humans had whispered to each other in the dark years: remember. You thought silence meant defeat, she told the bound Krillian commander. You never considered it might mean preparation. That's the difference between us. You conquer. We endure. You break. We adapt. You forgot one crucial fact about humanity. She leaned close, her voice carrying the weight of species-wide trauma transformed into determination. We are very, very good at holding grudges. The war was over, but not the way the Krillians had imagined. Throughout the galaxy, the other species watched and learned a new lesson. Humanity could be defeated in battle, perhaps, but never in spirit. And those foolish enough to try would discover that humans remembered everything and forgave nothing. Retribution, humanity taught the cosmos, wasn't just about revenge. It was about ensuring the universe never forgot what happened when you pushed the kindest species too far.